Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Disagreement among CARICOM leaders at their annual summit, our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, July 5th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. It was not the start that CARICOM leaders were hoping for. Comments made by the grouping's incoming chairman at Tuesday evening's opening ceremony about LIAT and the approach the Caribbean should take to Venezuela have upset some of his regional counterparts. It meant that on the day that discussions officially began at the 38th Heads of Government Conference, leaders were at odds. CMC's Nicole Best is in St. George's, and she brings us that story.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says Caribbean leaders got off on the wrong foot as they began deliberations in St. George's on Wednesday, and their disagreements stemmed from comments made by incoming CARICOM Chairman Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell on the financial problems of regional airline LIAT. Speaking during the ceremonial opening of the summit on Tuesday night, Mitchell was critical of the carrier, adding that there needs to be less political involvement in its operations.
Colleagues, I have long held the belief that too much political presence on the board of airlines such as LIAT is not helpful to its proper management and efficiency. LIAT's sustainability would have benefited if it was run more as a private sector operation. Governments then subsidize flights to given destination or routes that in the best interests of their respective countries. We do so now with international airlines, we could do so with LIAT.
But on Wednesday morning, Prime Minister Gonsalves, who is chairman of LIAT's shareholder governments, says he was disappointed in Mitchell's statement.
In 2001, LIAT put out a call, a 40 million rights issue, to get capital. One government, no private sector. The government of St. Vincent and Grenadines, we put up $2.9 million. At that time, a lot of fellas were dancing with Stanford. And I held the position that we have to invest in LIAT. I went to the parliament of my country and said, I'm investing in an airline which is, for all practical purposes, insolvent. But if LIAT didn't exist, we'd have to invent it.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown, who returned to his country on Tuesday night after the opening ceremony, blasted Dr. Mitchell for his stance on LIAT, stating that he has no moral authority to make any demands.
LIAT needs more planes. It needs more pilots. The staff needs an increase. The airline is struggling to pay its debts. In fact, it takes cash to operate an airline, not cheap talk, not political grandstanding. Those who do not contribute to LIAT's operations and viability have no moral authority to demand increased airlift from LIAT. The rationale is simple. You contribute, and then you can make your demands. There are no free lunches.
Apart from the controversy over LIAT, the regional leaders also seemed to be at odds over the Venezuela situation, with Dominica now proposing that a special mission to Caracas be mounted. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said his country condemns any form of violence and wants peaceful dialogue in the South American country.
The position of Venezuela is that, well, we certainly condemn any form of violence. We would like to see some dialogue take place. We would like to see a peaceful resolution to the situation. It is not in the interest of Venezuelans, that is the interest of the world for the situation to continue. What I would like to suggest, though, is the possibility of a CARICOM mission going into Venezuela, meeting with the government, meeting with the opposition, speaking and seeking to provide a greater sense of leadership to finding a resolution to the current challenges confronting Venezuela.
Brown also had his say on the Venezuela crisis.
Now, an ungovernable Venezuela represents a greater security risk to the hemisphere and certainly to the Caribbean region than the present untenable situation, which is of serious concern. So I just want to recommend that we deal with this issue in a very sensitive manner and that we do not allow others to bully us into passing any offensive declaration that will undermine the attempt to achieve a resolution to the violence in Venezuela through diplomacy and dialogue.
Guyana, which has a border dispute with Venezuela, has adopted a somewhat diplomatic position on the issue, with President David Granger saying he is interested in a peaceful resolution to the crisis.
Guyana has always taken the position that the situation in Venezuela will be resolved by the Venezuelan people themselves. We have already expressed the view that there should not be any outside intervention. We are not interested in regime change. We are interested in an orderly resolution of the crisis.
CARICOM Secretary General Erwin LaRocque told the media ahead of the start of the conference that the Venezuela issue is not an agenda item, but he said the leaders could issue a statement on the situation at the end of their deliberations. From St. George's, Grenada, Nicole Best, CMC News.
Meantime, one of the other leaders is calling on CARICOM not to turn a blind eye to the political situation in Venezuela. St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chastanet told CMC News that while CARICOM countries must not seek to interfere in the South American country's internal affairs, they have to take an interest in what's happening.
Absolute consensus by CARICOM that there should be non-interference. But it's what's said afterwards. The fact is that from a security perspective, that we're very concerned about the deterioration of things in Venezuela because it has impacted us from a security perspective. We've seen an increase in the movement of arms, we've seen an increase in the amount of money laundering, and just basic criminal activity. So I think that we have to take an interest in what's taking place. I think that the deal here is that both the government and the opposition need to get their stuff resolved because it is having a negative impact on this hemisphere.
Chastanet says some of the things the Venezuela government has done are wrong and regional leaders should not be silent on them. He made specific reference to the arrest of opposition leaders and the suspension of Congress in Venezuela. And with the clear division among CARICOM leaders on the right approach to the situation in Caracas, the grouping's chairman said there is need for a unified position.
As a region, as neighbors, we need to be concerned about the anomalies and excesses and about extremism on all sides of the fence. We must stand united to condemn violence from whichever quarters it comes. We must therefore not retreat from using our close ties to nudge all parties to a position of dialogue that will be in the best interest of the people of the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela.
Well, one of the highlights of Tuesday evening's opening ceremony was the presentation of the 12th CARICOM Triennial Award for Women, which went to Jamaican Shirley Price, the founder and president of the Jamaica Household Workers Union. She used the occasion to call on regional governments to ratify the International Convention regarding domestic workers. Price called on leaders to follow the lead of her country's Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, in that regard.
We are asking you, please, when you go back home, make that your mandate. I asked my Prime Minister, and within 3 months, he ratified the convention. And we are asking the same from you. I have traveled the region, and I spoke to several Ministers of Labour across. And one Minister of Labour said, I will do it. And in 2 months, Minister from Guyana, of Labour from Guyana, said in 2 months I will get it done, and it was done. So we are asking, please, we need sweeping changes across the region here. I'm very embarrassed when I travel, and I saw in the Caribbean two countries ratify the convention. I'm very, very embarrassed because I fought for this convention. I was very instrumental in Geneva to get it on the agenda and then to implementation. So now when I travel and you're asking the question, how many countries ratify in the Caribbean, I can't speak. I'm ashamed to say it's only 2. So I'm begging, I'm asking, please, when you go back home, put domestic worker on your agenda.
Price added that legislation is also needed in countries across the region to protect the rights of domestic workers.
Although in some areas there have been improvements, the one thing that remains the same is that domestic work is not recognized as real work. Even though some countries have taken the important step to introduce legislation, a lot more work is needed in enforcement.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, a commission of inquiry launched into an alleged plot to assassinate Guyana's president. That story and more after the break. Stay with us.
Celebrating 40 years of fun in the June-July sun. Vincimas 2017. Enjoy the exciting blend of mass and painted steel and glitter. There's a Monday street party like no other. And the explosion of colors at Mardi Gras. Don't be left out of the Vincimas 40th birthday celebration. Evo 4.0. Evo 4.0. There's Kaiso and the energy at Soca Monarch. June 30th to July 11th. Vincimas, the hottest carnival in the Caribbean. Check out Vincimas on Facebook or carnivalsvg.com for more details. Vincimas.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Welcome back. A commission of inquiry has been launched into an alleged plot to assassinate Guyana's president, David Granger. Reports of the plot surfaced earlier this year when a man claimed he had been approached by a well-connected businessman to take out the president. He said he was offered 7 million Guyana dollars to do the job. Police had been investigating the claim, but Minister of State Joseph Harmon has confirmed a commission of inquiry is now being set up to look into it.
The President has in fact ordered an inquiry into that matter. We are going through the phases of preparation for it, and I believe that within another 2 weeks or so that we will be able to make public that commission of inquiry and the identity of the person or persons who will lead that inquiry. So it is not a matter of not having confidence in any particular entity, but it's the right of the President to determine at any time if he requires a deeper level of investigation or inquiry into any matter. And so the Commission of Inquiry has been a mechanism which has been used by this administration to ferret out information which would not necessarily or usually be available to the regular investigation.
Over in Trinidad and Tobago, the man who attacked the family of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley in a Facebook post last Friday has been charged with sending a grossly offensive message by phone. Rayad Mohammed pleaded not guilty when he appeared in court on Wednesday. He was granted 15,000 TT dollars bail, and the matter was adjourned to August 2nd. The maximum fine for the charge is just 200 TT dollars or a term of imprisonment of 1 month. Mohammed came under fire after he posted the comment in an apparent response to a gruesome double murder. He later deleted the post and apologized, saying he was upset about the state of crime in the country. Opposition Senator and criminal attorney Wayne Sturge has offered to represent Mohammed pro bono. Still in Trinidad and Tobago, proceedings in the High Court have started on behalf of former cane farmers to get money government owes them. And opposition leader Kamla Prasad Besessar says 3,000 more applications will be filed. The farmers were supposed to get the money made available by the European Union in 3 tranches. The first was 27 million and was paid in 2015, but the other 2 payments of 75 million and $28 million are yet to be made.
So Friday, 30th June, last Friday, 2017, proceedings have been started in the High Court on behalf of the former cane farmers to help them recover the balance, the 103 million. They will accept nothing less, and we will not rest until that money is paid to them.
There appears to be some confusion over the implementation of a new fuel pricing policy in St. Lucia. The policy, which took effect this week, saw an increase in the price of petrol products. This sparked outrage among consumers, while others say they are confused about how the final prices are being calculated. We get more in this report from HGS News Force.
Monday's adjustment under the modified pass-through mechanism saw an increase in the retail price of petroleum products across the board. However, the new excise tax to go towards road repairs was applied for the first time on diesel and gasoline. News Force, upon breaking the news 3 days before the adjustment, noted a discrepancy in the tax on gasoline, which, with the proposed $1.50 increase, should have amounted to $4, but instead was $3.86. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Eubaldus Raymond, during last Tuesday's Senate sitting, made an attempt at explaining what the new adjustments would be. This explanation, however, failed to enlighten the public. The minister, during Monday's pre-cabinet press briefing, then clarified that government's policy was to cap the gasoline and diesel at $12.75, the current retail price per gallon of gasoline. Chartered accountant Richard Peterkin believes the government could have done a better job at informing the public of this policy change. But he questions whether this was a last-minute change.
Well, communication is sometimes forced upon you by events. My feeling is that they did not perhaps anticipate the increase in the CIF price, and so therefore did not think that with the increase in the C-tax that it was going to go up as high as $12.89, which is what it would have been. So whether in their own minds they always had $12.75 as a magic number is what's, I don't know, because if that had been the case, then perhaps that should have been conveyed a little earlier. And so people might feel, well, all right, we don't mind the pass-through as long as you cap it. But the impression that was given that is that the government needs the money to do a certain thing, so that even if the prices are going to go up, the money is going to be put to good use. And this seems to be a slight change in policy, and that perhaps should have been communicated.
Peterkin says arriving at the final retail price of gasoline is a matter of simple mathematics. He adds that to avoid confusion, when the new retail prices are made public, the formula should also be attached in order for the public to become more enlightened about the calculation process.
Over in Bermuda, former Premier Paula Cox is among 5 independent candidates who filed nomination papers on Tuesday for the upcoming general election. The island's 2 main political parties, the incumbent One Bermuda Alliance and the opposition Progressive Labour Party, each nominated a full slate for the 36 single-seat constituencies. All candidates will be vying for the support of over 46,000 registered voters ahead of the July 18th poll. Figures from Parliamentary Registrar Tania Woolridge show a near 3,000 increase in the number of registered voters compared to 15 months ago. And ahead in Newsline Sport, a call for CARICOM leaders to help save West Indies cricket. We'll be right back.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Ready.
It's another episode. When we out on the road, this is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink.
King Baba and Nikita. Hey, hey, hey. Every fat dollar boy keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my bitch. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. You know what to say, you still calling me wrong name.
Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
CARICOM Chairman and host Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell has renewed calls for regional leaders to come together to save West Indies cricket. Addressing the ceremonial opening of the 38th Summit of CARICOM Leaders on Tuesday night, the host Prime Minister and incoming Chairman of CARICOM, Dr. Keith Mitchell, said with all its challenges, cricket remains a unique West Indian enterprise worthy of support and promotion. He said the legacies that have been created by West Indian players on the field and the voice they've given throughout generations to expressions of West Indian identity have been well documented and chronicled throughout the years.
So when we get together to discuss the current challenges of the regional game, it is not merely a case of politicians dabbling in some useless pastimes. It is therefore greatly disheartening to me, and I know several other colleague heads, that after we have taken common position to assist in addressing the crisis in West Indies cricket, some members' governments publicly adopted different positions. We have to call a spade when we see a spade. Colleagues, there is an urgent need for us to get back on course, because the current state of affairs of cricket should be a complete embarrassment to all of us who call ourselves West Indians.
Mitchell said that there was an urgent need for the leaders to get back on course because the current state of affairs of cricket should be a complete embarrassment.
This cricket board, as is presently constituted, has long ceased to pay attention to the alarm bells. The question, therefore, must be, my colleagues and my brothers and sisters, are we going to fiddle in this unity while West Indies cricket burns? Do we stand by and do nothing as the current system almost renders the regional game irrelevant?
Meantime, Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown Wednesday defended his government's position on Cricket West Indies, insisting that it has a policy of not interfering in the internal affairs of institutions. Brown, in a statement to CMC, said that the governance of West Indies cricket, quote, appears to be an evocative romanticism of a particular Caribbean head.
Antigua and Barbuda, as a matter of principle, does not interfere in the internal affairs of institutions and governments that are governed by democratically elected officials. This is a universal principle on which my government stands. The core members of the West Indies Cricket Board, to the best of my knowledge, were democratically elected by the territorial boards. The board operates independent of governments. Now, there's a particular head who is of the view, and if I may add here the flawed opinion, that with my support and other heads, that he could achieve his compulsive, obsessive desire to dissolve the board.
Brown contends that the dissolution of the board would not solve the problems facing West Indies cricket.
He fallaciously argued would automatically resolve the multiplicity of problems facing West Indies cricket almost overnight. By the way, in the event he had gotten my support for this fantasy, the question would have been, how would he have achieved this forced dissolution? Talk is cheap. As leaders, we should know our limitations and control our aspirations by ensuring that they do not exceed our limitations. And I just want to say here too that we should also respect the rights of individual heads.
Former West Indies coach Phil Simmons has applied for the hotly contested position of India head coach. The 54-year-old, who has in recent months served as a coaching consultant to Afghanistan, applied during the second round of applications, which was initiated by the sudden resignation of incumbent Anil Kumble. The legendary former Indian leg spinner's one-year contract was up for renewal, but he was favored to retain the position based on a recommendation by the Indian Cricket Board's Cricket Committee. Simmons spent just over a year in charge of West Indies, during which time he led them to the 2020 World Cup title in India. Over to the women's division now, where the West Indies will be hoping to put an end to their losing streak in the ongoing Women's World Cup. They take on fifth-placed New Zealand at County Ground on Thursday, and Captain Stephanie Taylor says they're ready to take on the Black Caps.
Yeah, we're a bit disappointed for the last 3 games and how we've been playing, but the mood is very good. I really like how the girls came out today in practice, and we're really trying to put the past games behind us and move on. We had our training session today, and we look ready. So we hope that we could come tomorrow and put in a good performance.
Well, West Indies have not won a single match since entering the tournament, while the Kiwis have only one victory after routing Pakistan by 9 wickets in the tournament opener. And that's sports. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with diabetes? If so, it is important that you know about Glucerna. Glucerna is a nutritional supplement for people with diabetes and contains Carb Steady, which helps minimize blood sugar spikes. Manage your diabetes with Glucerna. Glucerna, nutrition for people with diabetes, designed for you.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
Again, the major developments of this day: disagreement among the CARICOM leaders at their annual summit over Liat and Venezuela. And in sport, the CARICOM chairman renews calls for regional leaders to come together to save West Indies cricket. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports around the clock, log on to CanadaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and good night.